Good morning. We will begin to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the invocation by Reverend Allen Ho, and the pledge will with Pastor Satcher.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having us here, Mr. Chairman and all the commissioners and guests. We thank you for supporting Anchor House, our golf tourney, and I know some of you even golfed this year, so that was great. We've been busy just like you have, and we notice it in our center. So let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to serve in this place. Variety of workers, a variety of positions, and yet you use it all together. Build within us unity, that we may work together for the common good of our region, of our state, of even our nation. We thank you for those who have blessed us by their service in the past, and we thank you for the rich heritage that they have provided. Help us to have a great vision for the future, for projects that haven't even been dreamed of yet. Bless our decisions today, the presentations, and most of all, thank you for your presence with us again, O God. We pray in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we begin, we will forego the actual audience introductions, but if we do have any public comment, we'll take them now. Seems like we do not have any public comments. We'll pass it to Mr. Bucharest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Good morning. Today we have a relatively short agenda. However, we have two very special guests. One would be Customs and Border Protection. So if you have anything to declare, you better do it now before they get to the podium, or then and the second would be essentially a customer of Customs and Border Protection in the port, which is, of course, Air Products. And Mark Evans is here from Air Products, which came to the port a few years ago with the express purpose of being able to ship their LNG towers and their LNG equipment directly out into the water instead of from the middle of Pennsylvania, where they were before. So that has been a big, big coup for the county and the port to be able to have such a Fortune 500 company here, creating all these jobs. So those will be our two guest speakers today. And then the agenda will go on to a couple of new agreements and new contracts, and then executive director comments, and there's my evaluation, which Jennifer will present to you. We have two commissioners missing, which would be Commissioner Serbia and Commissioner Baugh will not be here today. So with that, I'd like to present our good friends from Customs and Border Protection that are going to give you the presentation. Because of technical difficulties, we couldn't give it to you last time, but they're ready this time. So, thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. Again, hopefully this time we'll be able to do our presentation. My name is Christian Manatee. I'm the port director here in Port Manatee with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I've been in the agency since 2016, since 2009, I'm sorry. Been in Tampa since 2016, Port Manatee, which is included. Here with me is Mr. Alex Garcia. He's an agriculture specialist. He's been in the agency since 2005. He's one of our, I would say, one of our top agriculture interceptors here. Very wealthy when it comes to knowledge. But before I start talking about Port Manatee operations with CBP, I would like just to start off with a video on the history of CBP and what does the agency do and why we are here. Of course, as you saw in the video, Department of Homeland Security was created due to the unfortunate events of 9/11. Our main mission is to prevent terrorists coming into this country again. We want to make sure those events don't occur again. It's a scar that we have in our nation and our history that we want to prevent. Locally here in the area port of Tampa, we have a very big area that we cover, all the way from Lakeland down to Naples. Port Manatee is a subport in the area port of Tampa, where our main job is to facilitate lawful trade and even travel, because we are also over Sarasota Airport. As you know, Homeland Security and CBP has multiple components when it comes to Customs and Border Protection. We have Air and Marine, and we also have our mission support. It's very, here in Port Manatee, our biggest operation is trade. We have a big agriculture operation. We are making sure that our agriculture specialists and officers are facilitating this lawful trade. We want to make sure that we partner up with multiple agencies here, like Coast Guard, FDA, EPA, Fish and Wildlife, local law enforcement. It's a huge operation. We are the largest law enforcement agency in the nation, and we carry a huge task. And we are the front line of all foreign travel, all foreign trade, and we want to make sure that our country is safe. You guys have any questions directed towards our operation? I can't go into specific details on our operation, but we do have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first of all, thank you so much. Get as far away from that as I can.
Yeah, we're having issues, yeah, just go back up.
Should I try again? Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to thank you, for all that you do for us locally. And one question is, how many team members do you have based in Manatee County?
Well, based in Manatee County, we have right now a total of 6.
Okay.
But since we are part of the area port of Tampa, we also supplement with Tampa employees. We want to have more because the operation here in Manatee, as we all know, it's growing exponentially. But of course, that's something that it takes time. But with the port here and all the companies that are coming here, it's going to happen sooner or later.
Sure. And then obviously you all are federal. And we all, watch the news every day, and we see that you're really not being backed up by the current administration and the current government at all. And there's sort of like an attack on law enforcement, and particularly Border Patrol. And being the largest law enforcement agency in the country, what can we do as a county to support, or as a port, to help and support the 4 of you and anybody else that comes down to supplement here? Anything that we can do to help you guys?
Well, when it comes to the support, we get a lot of support. We stay focused on our mission, regardless of what administration is going on. Our mission is clear. Sometimes there's decisions that are over our heads that we just can't.
Sure.
There's nothing we can do, but as long as we remain focused, we remain engaged with the port and with our partners, that's all right now that really is important to us, especially local and local level here.
Sure. And I wouldn't expect you to speak ill of the administration. I'll
No.
do that part. But just know that from this government and this community, we are very pro law enforcement, and we're extremely appreciative of all you do for us. So thank you.
Commissioner Sancho.
Yeah, I wanted to just emphasize some of what Authority Member Kevin Van Ostenbridge just said. We appreciate you, putting everything on the line and keeping us safe. We're experiencing serious growth here at the port, and which is exciting for us. And so we know that you have a big job. And then at the airport too. This is a record year for the airport. There's a lot of prosperity, coming to this area, and so we appreciate your help. And then across the nation, you've got agents that are really on the front lines of people that are involved in human trafficking, bringing children and young girls across the border to be sold, and Border Patrol is on the front lines of that, of catching those people and putting them away, and really having to swim upstream right now. I'll say it for you. They're having to swim upstream with the current administration working against them, and some within that group calling for an end to Border Patrol. I mean, to me, that's absolutely unconscionable, something that we just learned was founded by the very first Congress to call for an end to it, when it is what keeps us safe and secure. So I don't expect you, I don't want you to put your neck out there, but I'll put mine out there and say that we appreciate you, all that you do, and thank you very much for being here this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Thank you. And again, I reiterate, thank you for all you do. Is this a 24-hour shift? I mean, you have to have somebody here, because we're seeing shifts 24/7. So you have to have
Correct.
somebody,
So-
so those 6 are covering?
Our operation is 24/7.
Okay.
7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Right.
So even though we don't have staff here 24 hours, but we are able and capable to cover the jobs needed after hours.
Humans, have you been, I had never heard anything locally here. Have you, being on the ports here, found any kind of humans being stashed away? I mean, because I know I've heard about it, but I just never, ever recall here.
That wouldn't entitle going into the specifics on the operation,
Oh.
which I cannot go into detail.
Okay. And the ag chief, I mean, the ag customs. So are you looking at like all our fruits and vegetables and plants, and are you looking for exotic?
We look at all perishables that are regulated by USDA. So Customs and Border Protection, the agriculture specialist, we enforce all USDA rules. So before, back before it was Homeland Security, it used to be divided into Customs, Immigration, and USDA PPQ. After the Department of Homeland Security was created, President Bush kind of merged all these agencies that are going to be dealing with all foreign, either products, travel, and trade. They merged them into Customs Border Protection. So the agriculture specialists were tasked with enforcing all USDA rules, and that entitles and that encompasses all the perishables that are coming in the port. We can't look at 100% of what comes in, because Denise and Del Monte will be screaming at me. So
right.
But we do look at a percentage
gonna say
of what
that.
comes in.
For instance, when we get a juice delivery, and I've learned throughout the years that, they go right into the trucks, and if there's one speck of anything, the whole thing is canceled. And what about you with the exotic, like the hornets and stuff that have come across from other countries? I mean, is that the kind of stuff you're looking for?
We're
or-
looking for pests. We're
Pests?
looking for
Okay.
diseases. We're looking for biologicals. Believe it
Okay.
or not, there's a big trend coming up in biologicals. These are all items that agriculture specialists look at, and we don't make a final determination when it comes to the pests and diseases. That's why we work hand in hand with USDA.
Got it.
And we work with them. They give us the advice, and we enforce with their advice.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up, telling you thank you. One key word that you said was focus, and it kind of reminds me as it aligns our first responders and our soldiers, regardless of what's going on in the upper level or thoughts of others in the political realm. Your job is to be focused and make sure you protect our borders. So thank you all for everything that you
Thank
do.
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Not from up here, unless we have some from the audience.
Thank you.
So much.
Now you have an awareness that really the port works 24/7. Customs is here 24/7, protecting these goods that are coming into the U.S. So really, the issues the ports have are always that you want secure trade, not just trade for the sake of trade, and then make sure that we keep those flows coming into the U.S. balancing the trade with security, because as they say often, the most secure port has no business. So it's that balance. But I think My personal knowledge is that everything really is taken a hard look at. Nothing comes in that is in any way going to raise any flags, and customs through various means, or CBP through various means at their disposal, can really, identify specific concerns and inspect them right there and then. I don't think I've broken any security things, but that's essentially the thing. Every container essentially has a look at. Nothing comes in. And then, of course, there are programs that U.S. exporters and importers can subscribe to. That's a CTPAT, which is essentially a trusted traveler for cargo, right? The trusted traveler for cargo, CTPAT, service is where this company then, with customs, decides to fill out these forms and cooperate with customs and giving them more information, and therefore they become essentially a global entry or a trusted traveler for cargo. That helps expedite the process also. So, good. Next, we have Mark Evans from Air Products.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Okay, it's been a few years. A lot of new commissioners, which is good because I won't be repeating myself too much. Apologies to you, Carol. You've probably seen some of these slides and heard some of this. So all I wanted to do today was basically give you a high-level update on what's going on across the road, basically. Wanted to tell you a little bit about Air Products in case you didn't know, but then mainly focus on what's happening just across the main road there in US 41. So do I need to click on? There you go. So Air Products, we're an industrial gas company, global industrial gas company. We're working in over 50 countries, got 19,000 employees. We were created in the 1940s up in Pennsylvania. Well, actually started in Detroit, Michigan, but then based in Pennsylvania for most of those 80 years. We've got 750 production facilities around the world. We're serving 30 plus industries. We're almost a $9 billion company. And our CEO at the moment is very focused on safety, diversity, environment, and he wants the people of Air Products to be part of the greater good of the world, basically. So a lot of the products we are concentrating on long term should have a benefit to the world. Some of our products, industrial gases. People think, what do industrial gases do? You can think of oxygen, argon, nitrogen. The beauty of a lot of what we do is our rare product is just air. We separate air and take the different gases out of it. But some of the products up there you can see when you food freeze food, it's normally an Air Products process that's doing that. Oxy-fuel, oxygen goes into a lot of different products, whether it's making metals, making cement, lots of different things. Hydrogen's become the big buzzword in Air Products at the moment. We're the leading provider and producer of hydrogen in the world, and hydrogen is kind of becoming the next clean fuel. So a lot of concentration, a lot of investment. The company's just invested in a 4.5 billion in a new hydrogen facility in Louisiana, and we're looking at blue hydrogen and green hydrogen. So they're coming from carbon neutral or carbon even free production. The bottom bullet point on there is where we come in, is natural gas. So people need to liquefy natural gas to ship it around the world. It becomes 600th of the volume when you liquefy it, and I would say about 75% of liquefied gas in the world goes through an exchanger that's been made by Air Products. So Our mission across the road is to support the global business of Air Products by manufactured equipment. The primary equipment that we build, as Carlos mentioned, was heat exchangers for liquefying natural gas. To look at them, they look like a big Saturn rocket. I've got a few pictures at the end. We do build other products for Air Products, but that is our prime focus in this facility. We have got other manufacturing facilities around the world building different products, but this is the only Air Products facility building this equipment. And there's a good reason for that. It's one of the top 10 IPs that the company owns, so we're very protective of it, and hence we've never considered manufacturing this equipment outside of the US. So that's our facility. I'm sure you've all driven past it and seen it. We've got 30, well, the little green dot at the top there was a piece of land we purchased earlier this year. So with that, now we've got 37 acres. We've got over 300,000 feet of manufacturing space within that 37 acres. And we've got a process development unit you can see on the right there. That's where we do some R&D work, trying to keep at the forefront of technology. So we've got everything we kind of need on site. And then location. So as Carlos alluded to, we used to manufacture this equipment up in Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania. We did that from 1967 to 2018. But in 2012, we kind of said we need a new location. We were landlocked in Pennsylvania. We had a 5-day rail trip to get to a deepwater port. It was either in Newark or down near Philadelphia. And the fact that it was a rail trip means that the equipment was limited by size, weight. You know, you've obviously got bridges, tunnels, sidings to go through. So we did all what we did to maximize what we could ship, but we got to a point where the world wanted bigger exchangers and we couldn't ship them from there. So we looked for a site. We got down to 2 locations. This was one location, obviously. The other one was near Houston. And you know, working with the local commission, with the EDC, with the port, we decided on this location, and we've never regretted that since, to be honest. One concern we had was workforce. There was no ready workforce in the area. We knew that coming in, so we've worked very closely with trade schools in the area, and we've now built up a workforce of 300 employees across the road. It's been a challenge, but it's been kind of an exciting challenge growing a team. And we've worked really closely with the port as well. So we've got an uninterrupted 1-mile route now to a deep water berth. We've buried lines. They've altered the South Dockside Road. So we've got no impediment shipping anything from our facility over to the dock. And where that used to take 5 days, it now takes 45 minutes. And 5 minutes of that is while we cross US 41. So we don't upset the locals for too long with our traffic. So just a little recap of the timeline. As I said, 2013, we completed the construction project. We had our grand opening in 2014. We started with 50 employees. We're a non-union shop. Up in Wilkes-Barre, it was a union shop, so we were very limited on people that we could bring down here. So it was mainly staff and management that were training all our new employees. And this is, I think there's 5 of us that have worked for Air Products in the past out of those 300 employees. So, not just new people to the area, but new people to the company as well. We grew. We had our first heat exchanger shipped in 2016. We've got a Chinese manufacturing license, which means we can export pressure vessels into China. We've got the process development unit, and in 2019 we expanded the facility internally with an extra building. That's because we closed the facility up in Pennsylvania and brought some of the equipment down to expand the capacity here. So this now is the LNG hub for Air Products. We've got our PDU unit here and all of the manufacturing here. The designs still come from Allentown, our main headquarters, but that's about it. As I say, we're up to about 300 employees on site now. We're a pretty self-contained unit over there, so you know, we've got all the disciplines you'd expect to see in a small business or a medium-sized business. So working for me, I've got a projects, proposals and planning department. I've got a materials department. We do all our own purchasing over there. Quality assurance, we do all our own QC. We've got technicians who are qualified in non-destructive testing. We've obviously got plant engineering and maintenance to keep the place going. And then we've got production, where we've got 200 technicians at the moment, and some manufacturing engineers on site, training coordinators, safety specialists, etc. So, as I say, at this present time, I think we've got about 290 staff on site. We have been up to 310. It's a challenge at the moment, keeping people. You know, as we've tried to grow over the last 2 years, we've kind of spread our wings of where we've been trying to attract people from. But after 12 months of making a 1 hour commute, we're finding people are trying to find something closer to home. We work a 3-shift pattern over there, so some people don't like working the off shift. So keeping people is a challenge at the moment. We've recruited consistently now for 2 years, non-stop, all the way through COVID. We kept recruiting. We worked all the way through COVID, did not lose a single day due to COVID. We had pretty strict protocols over there that worked for us. In fact, the only day's production we lost was because of the unfortunate incident with the gypsum stacks, where we were evacuated. So out of those 200 production technicians, I'm quite proud to say 130 of them have got welding qualifications. Some of them came in with welding experience, but a lot of them come in with no welding experience whatsoever. We've taken people from fast food restaurants, from warehouses, from medical centers, and we've trained them to weld because that's what they wanted to do. We've worked with local colleges. We still recruit heavily from the local technical colleges. But the challenge we've got is what we build is made of either aluminum or stainless steel. It's not something that's taught in the technical colleges because of the cost of aluminum and stainless steel. So even when we bring people in with welding experience, we still have to invest a lot of time and energy training them. And even, you know, we get people, oh, I've welded aluminum, and it's like, have you welded 3-inch thick aluminum? Oh no. So, you know, we invest a lot in our people. And that's when it's frustrating when they leave. You know, I take it personally when people leave. We're a good company to work for. It's a good environment to work in. So we're always looking at how can we improve that, how can we keep people. And our technicians, as you can see there, some of them over there have traveled already. We've only been there 6 years, but I've got technicians who have been to Algeria, Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Oman, Australia, and some of them during COVID trips as well. So that's the current work in progress. We've got 7 main LNG projects, 22 pressure vessels, a lot of work. You can see the dimensions there, almost 20 feet in diameter, the biggest, 200 feet long, almost £1 million. And this is the bit the port are always interested in. Some of our projects have been delayed because construction sites have been delayed because of COVID, but you know, we've still carried on making them, so we've got a bit of a backlog over there at the moment. But next year we've got 10 shipments to Mexico. So, we've got a couple of local ones to Texas, but they'll still go by barge from here. But then Qatar, Algeria, China, Nigeria. So lots of shipments coming over the next 2 years that'll all be coming over through the port. In the community, we try and be a good neighbour, so we're active in the community. You know, I'm on the EDC board. We've got people on a lot of local manufacturing boards, and we're also on all the welding advisory programs in all the local technical colleges. We've got different staff on different advisories, and then obviously we like to help out local charities as well. I know I'm running out of time, but I'll just show you a couple of quick pictures, and whenever you want me to stop, Chairman, just say, because these are just pictures now of shipments that we've made. So that was our first shipment, September the 9th, 2016. Very proud team. I was even prouder the week after when we actually shipped another exchanger exactly 1 week later. That's something we could have never done out of Pennsylvania because of the rail constraints. That's an exchanger going ro-ro from berth 8 here, went over to Texas. That's one going deep ship with a geared ship, and that's going over to Russia. And there was actually an exchanger already in the berth that had been made up in our other facility in Pennsylvania. So they both shipped on the same, went on the same ship, which was pretty neat. That's us going across US 41. That's a cold box we made. So as I say, we don't just do LNG exchanges, we do other process equipment for the company as well. That was a pretty good accomplishment. It was our first one. And as you see, just more shipments. It's all the shipments we've done to date, actually. That was a stainless steel exchanger, so that was going on a floating plant. So these are massive structures that float out in sea and take the gas from under the seabeds, basically, process them locally, and then ship them to wherever they're going around the world. And that was the second unit for that, being loaded here. Another process, that was a helium skid going to Algeria. And that's all I've got today.
All right, we do have a couple of commissioners on the board. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you. Yeah, some of this is more just because I find this fascinating, so the questions may not be overly relevant, but I'm just more curious. When I was looking at all the places you were shipping to, you had a ton of them to Qatar. What are they doing that it looked like almost half of your shipments were going there?
So Qatar was always the leading producer of LNG in the world, always, until recently. Australia kind of took the #1 spot, and now recently America's getting into a place where it will be the #1 producer of LNG. So Qatar have basically reinvested. We're building 4 new process trains for them now, and potentially they've got another 2 in the pipeline for maybe 12 months' time, and that will put them back to being the #1 producer of natural gas in the world. They've got an abundance of supply underground there, but they're just basically up in their capacity.
So do you have pretty high level of like geopolitical risk in terms of your business plan?
We do. You might have seen the bottom project there was Mozambique. Mm-hmm. So we've got a project we're building for Mozambique at the moment, but our customer, who is ExxonMobil, I believe, has put it on hold because of the insurgency in Mozambique. They've got security concerns over there. I know there's been some changes in the country very lately, so they're expecting that to get back on track. But yeah, there's always geopolitical risk, Nigeria is another place that we're building for at the moment. It's not the most stable country in the world, but we've got 7 LNG trains over there already. So yeah, they're not, I kind of brag that some of our technicians have been all around the world. They're not normally holiday spots. They're normally in the desert, or they're always near the sea. They're never the most attractive places to go to for sure.
Gotcha. And are you seeing any like supply chain issues like we're seeing out on the West Coast?
Do you know what? Up to recently, we've been really lucky. All our aluminum we get from the US, all our aluminum tube we get from the US, and we've been very fortunate at the moment. We've had a very stable supply chain. We actually carry quite a lot of inventory as well, purposely. But of recent times, we're just starting to see price increases, particularly with aluminum, and do you know, we use a lot of local kind of fabrication shops and even machine shops, and we see those guys struggling. They're not big. They're not big organizations, so they're losing people. They're struggling to find people, and maybe they'll have a bit of a COVID outbreak, and that can really cripple them and affect us. But generally, the main materials we've been good up to now. Shipping's a big concern in the world at the moment, obviously. But again, we're not shipping a lot of materials in. There's some special joints that we get. There are aluminum and stainless steel we get from Japan. Mm-hmm. So shipping it's not the actual, they can produce them for us, but the shipping is definitely a challenge at the moment. So.
All right, and you said you lost a few people, and you said you took that personally. I mean, I'm assuming there's a time to train. You said there was time to train with MTC and others to get people up. So this isn't as simple as just going out and hiring a new cashier. I mean, when you lose people, there's a process before you can bring people in. Are you doing any kind of exit interviews to see why some of these people are leaving?
Yeah, every single person has an exit interview, and it's mainly, I don't want to work an off shift. I found something closer to home. I'm glad to say it's never,
Right.
I don't like the facility, I don't like the people, I don't like the company. It's never that. It's always, a lot of personal reasons. And I don't know what other people experience, but, I've been in Florida 7 years now. I came, obviously, from the UK originally, but from Pennsylvania. I love it down here, and all my family's in the UK, but I find a lot of people come down here, try it, and then either family ties drag them back to where they came from, or, father's got ill and old, and I've got to go back. So a lot of personal reasons as well, actually.
Okay, and the last question. Are you intending to expand here or stay where you are? And if you are looking to expand, what would be holding you back? Is it a workforce? Is it a land? Is it a county issue? What can we do to help you? Because, we see a lot of, especially during COVID, very cyclical. Manatee County as a whole is very cyclical. It's lower wage, people lose jobs as soon as there's a small recession. You did not. You're the kind of company we need here, and we need to grow here. So what would hold you back from potentially expanding, and how could the county assist you on that?
We've just purchased 5 acres of land, as I mentioned, where we've got plans to put at least a warehouse on there at the moment, because we rent a lot of warehouse off the port in different areas. So we want something kind of we've got control of. So we're going through a process at the moment of trying to get construction contractors to give us a bid for that. That's a challenge, because everybody's slammed here building, as we all see. So to actually get a contractor interested in doing that work is a challenge at the moment. I can't say, obviously when we have to get through the planning and everything, we've never had any issues with the county in the past. We try and do things properly and in accordance with code. So and normally in the past it's been processed pretty efficiently and quickly as well. So that would be the one area where we'll be looking to the county, but I'm not expecting that to be an issue unless the county's backlogged with everybody wanting to build as well. So. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Carlos, thank you for bringing him in here. This has really been great. I've appreciated this a lot. I learned quite a bit. Unfortunately, Commissioner Cruz took the vast meat of what I wanted to discuss and brought it up himself. So I'll just point out, why is the port here? What is the objective of the port? Obviously, it's to create jobs and be an economic driver for this community. And I have a really good friend of mine whose son didn't want to go to college. He went to MTC. He was recruited by Air Products straight out of MTC. He became a welder. Obviously, you all did some additional training with him. He's now 22 years old. He makes $90,000 a year. He's been to Qatar. He's been to Indonesia. He's kind of going, which we don't think are holiday places, but he also spent some time in Australia, and he really thought that was fantastic. And he's been with you all for 2 or 3 years now, and he's absolutely loving it. And he's just one person. You have 300 people over there, obviously, and he's just one 22-year-old kid who's loving life. So anyway, I just wanted to sort of give that as an example of how the port and air products make a difference in people's lives here.
And the flip side of that is, you know, the port doing well is critical to us. You know, if this port wasn't here, I don't know where I'm going to ship my heat exchangers to. So it's very important to us that the port's successful, that the port's vibrant, that the port, you know, is here for many years to come as well. So.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Whitmore?
Yes, and welcome back. I didn't recognize you because of the beard, and
Yeah.
and you lost a lot of weight. So
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe it would be nice for you to explain how difficult it was when we were recruiting you. I recall, if I'm not, that at one point when you were trying to get to water in Pennsylvania, you actually had to either elevate a bridge or you had to lower the tracks to get under the bridge. I recall that, and then at certain points you had to take apart your heat exchangers because they couldn't all go under that, and you did that for 50 years, right?
Yep. We bought special rail equipment, which actually side shifted to get
Right.
around corners. You're right, we couldn't finish the exchangers in the workshop
So you got to the ship.
in Wilkes-Barre, so we had a shop in Pennsylvania where we used to actually finish them because there was too many protrusions. All of that now is, you know, so even the build sequence is more efficient now because we can totally finish them, bring them across the road. You know, and we've even got customers now talking to us about, well, can you do more? Can you put the piping on it? Can you put this on it? Can you put that on it? Because, you know, it's very expensive to do some of these things on a site location where we can do it a lot more efficiently here. So it's definitely, you know, and as I say, it wasn't just a 5-day rail journey, it was 5 different rail companies as
Right.
well. So we had to keep changing rail cars every day as well. So it was a logistical nightmare to say
So we
the
probably
least.
saved you millions in the long
Hopefully.
run. We started the North Central overlay, which we don't have it now, but we did mainly for this kind of reason, was to attract port-related business. But what it sounds like is we don't have housing in where some of your workers would possibly stay. I recall an 18-year-old about 6 years ago started there, got trained at MTC. He got a loan, and I brought this up before at previous commissions, got a loan the first year for a house. I mean, that's unheard of, you know, with no credit, but they knew where he was. But, you know, I don't hear that you have openings. And if we're not hearing it, maybe there's something better that we could do to try to get you. I know MTC, we started a special welding program just for your
Yeah.
company with the aluminum. Is that not working because they
No,
can't
we-
get aluminum, or?
It's just difficult, and it's not part of the core syllabus. They still do it. You know, if somebody's finished their program, they'll still introduce them to aluminum. But we still hiring from MTC. We hire from all of the
All
local
over,
technical
yeah.
colleges, to be honest with you. And I know they've got, you know, COVID's hit some of the colleges pretty bad from advisory committees and things like that. And I had an invite yesterday. I know MTC have got their advisory committee coming up in the next couple of weeks, so I'm sure we'll get into there. We had a request from PTEC the other day for some material, so we'll try and help them out as much as we can.
Yeah, because at one point you had a staff member there training.
We've still got one.
Oh, you
who-
still do?
He still
Okay.
goes there on, in the evenings
good.
and does training in the
Okay.
evenings, yeah.
And for the board that doesn't know this, we had to thicken 41. I want to say thicken it because of the million-pound heat exchanger. We actually had to, the FDOT, it took a while. I don't know who paid for it. I don't know if we did, you guys did, but I recall that it was a big, long process to close down 41, to get it repaved so it could handle the weight of your heat
Yeah.
exchangers.
And I know this isn't maybe for, maybe as the Port Authority, I don't know what the Port's view on it is, but some lights on the North Dockside Road would be nice. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who in FDOT actually designed that banking. I don't know if they're a NASCAR fan or something.
Oh, I see.
But you know, I've seen several trucks come over that banking and try and turn left, and they normally end up in the verge turned over. It's a crazy design, but yeah, you know, our employees only come out at certain shift changes, but, you know, going across that road now is a bit of a, it's you know, we try and be a safe company, and I get that from my employees every day.
That's
you know.
Commissioner Satcher's district. You should direct that
no.
towards him.
Yeah, but you know, that's the
Some
kind
lights
of,
there would be very nice.
that's the kind of thing that Commissioner Cruz brought up. If there's something that you think that we can make things go better, you know, because we're going up to Tallahassee in January, whatever, and we can talk to our legislators too, and FDOT.
Yeah.
Kevin has a good relationship with the FDOT secretary, so we could possibly look at stuff like that. If you could get something, what you're talking about, to probably Carlos, who could give it to us, and we could look at it and see what we could do as a county commission as well as a port. Because this is our port customer, even though it's Manatee County. And we have two hats, as you know, Mark, so.
All right,
Thank you. Nice seeing
I'm
you.
going to interject before I let Commissioner Satcher go about these lights. I think we look at that and identify the area that you're speaking of, and with our communication and relationship with FDOT, I think we look at that a little bit more aggressively, because that is a public safety issue. So we'll make sure we either communicate with you or go from there, just to see what our options are.
Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Okay.
It almost happened to me today. It's still dark when I got here, and they were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
the banking, well, it's two things. It's the banking and then it's the traffic. Because obviously the
Right,
port's
the
doing
traffic.
better. We've got new neighbours, we've got truck traffic, and then we've got our shift changes. So it's a pretty busy intersection on times. And
All right, Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So did I get from the presentation, a normal year would be about 10 of these headed out?
not a normal year. We're based on about 6, but because we're backlogged, it's
Right.
going to be 10 this year.
Gotcha, no.
We should have shipped. We should actually have shipped 3 in this calendar year, but they're sitting on our site at the moment waiting to be shipped. So it's going to be 10 next year. I think it's either 10 or 11 the year after that. And these are, you know, pretty fixed. We're working them. It's not as if these are orders we're waiting to come in. That's the other thing about these exchanges I didn't mention. Some of them take up to like 3 years to build. So
So in order, and when you say 3 years, I mean, each one would be normally made for a year. It would have a destination when you start the build?
yes.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, they're all engineered to order specifically for the gas field that they're going to go to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And then obviously you're working just from economic incentive. You are protecting your IT really all over the world. Is that right? Could someone reverse engineer or?
Not easily, no, because they're not something that people access to maintain or anything. So
Well, let China
unless
get
they
this
wanted
stuff.
to, you know, unless they wanted to willingly chop one in half. But you know, we've put exchanges into China, and we've got competitors in China. But for the size of equipment we make, it's mainly Linde are our main competitor for this size of equipment.
Okay. And then I just wanted to mention, which I'm sure you're very aware, but for people that are thinking about moving here, be sure to mention Parrish and North River Ranch area.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that trip across Moccasin Wallow, we're 69th. Of course, we're working on Moccasin Wallow as far as widening it, but it's a pretty quick trip over here.
Yeah.
You know, and avoiding all.
I would say a lot of my workforce are in Parrish, Palmetto area. So yeah.
Great. Wonderful. We appreciate you, and thank you for taking your time to be here this morning.
Thank you.
I'll just follow up. Can you just?
Yep.
You said you have your Chinese manufacturing license.
Yes.
Can you talk about the impact and the benefit of that?
It basically means that we can manufacture pressure vessels and import them into China. So it's a safety assurance basically. So they come over, audit us, make sure. We still design and build them, funny enough, to ASME, to an American design code. But they give us a license to ship them into their country. So Europe's similar. You know, there's different requirements for different countries when you want to export equipment. You know, we've got an exchange now that's going to go to Canada. That has to be registered in Canada as well. So different countries have different regulations, but it just means that we can ship into China, and we have done in the past because we've had customers there for smaller exchanges.
All right. Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any more? All right. Thanks for all the work that you do and the impact that you're making, Mr.
you.
Carlos. We will go to the consent agenda.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Commissioner. We'll look for your consideration for approval.
Second?
We have an approval and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's passed unanimous. Next, number 4.
Number 4, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, is a very long, let's say, road to the renewal of the Del Monte contract. And he's stuck is here, the manager, right there. And it's a cooperative agreement. It's really good. We keep Del Monte here for many, many years to come.
Yep.
We've, built a new terminal, essentially, to expand. The port is expanding in containers greatly. As an aside, Del Monte went from essentially non-containerized shipping in the last 3 years to fully containerized shipping, in the last 1.5 to 2 years, shifting all their ships from what before be lifting pallets of fruit to now lifting containers. And that's why we have such a large container record, having exceeded our previous container count by 53% over last year. We expect that to grow. And so as a result, it's a partnership between Del Monte and the port to continue the relationship into the future. So we'll look for your consideration to approve this new agreement.
I can't make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Next, agenda number 5 is that we are seeking to essentially we have entered into an operating agreement with a railroad company for the purposes of operating our railroad under our supervision, under our, let's say, with our equipment. But that the railroad, it's not our expertise. We have been, having a drop in rail cars that's been, too expensive to maintain. And then entering into an agreement, as such other ports have, let's say in Everglades and Miami, just essentially takes something that we do by ourselves and puts it out in the private sector, but of course with the oversight of the port. So I would look again for any questions that you have on this, and again, your consideration to approve the railroad agreement.
I'll make a motion, the recommended motion to approve.
Second?
We have, you want to comment before we?
Sure.
There's a comment before we make the, go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to ask, so you expect this to be more efficient than what we're doing now and then more effective, is that right?
Well, yes, in the sense that, these railroads have connections, and this particular company has short line railroads. We're a Class 3 railroad. For example, CSX is Class 1, there's about 5 Class 1 railroads, but it's a small railroad. It's a Port Manatee railroad. Other ports have essentially entered into these agreements with railroad companies that run these all over the country. It's more efficient for us, it's more efficient for them to have a facility because often they can connect the dots that we can't. So in this regard, it's efficient for us and it's efficient for this company to add an asset at this growing, expanding port that they couldn't have otherwise.
So I would assume, a company 400 miles from us, or 1,000 miles from us, that wants something shipped from, or to come by rail from Port Manatee, it's going to end up, by the time all is said and done, it's going to be cheaper for them to get it to themselves, most likely, with this operating?
Generally, yes. And it depends on a lot of factors. There might be, equipment that cannot travel over the road.
Right.
So some LNG products are too heavy. Not that this is the case here, but they're too heavy. Or the volume is too large to put into trucks, or it can't go into trucks, it has to go into rail cars. So that's essentially the idea behind, the long-term railroad shipping. And in this particular case, it's then the marketing efforts, the marketing capability of the railroad company to further expand what we do now.
Okay. And then you're maintaining oversight?
We're maintaining under this agreement, we're maintaining oversight. In other words, it's not a sale, it's just an agreement, a lease agreement that again can be dissolved or entered into or expanded essentially at any time.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and there's a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved unanimously, and we will move to the
Okay.
executive director's evaluation discussion.
Correct. For this particular agenda item, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we're going to have your attorney, Jennifer Cowan, review your evaluations of my function in the last year.
Good morning, Port Authority members. As you know, each year we go ahead and evaluate Carlos pursuant to his contract. This year I received evaluations from 6 of the 7 Port Authority members, and I want to thank each of you for turning those in actually early this year, so I appreciate it. As you are aware, the review evaluates 8 categories of performance, and each of those categories has a ranking option of outstanding, meets standards, or needs improvement. Each category also provides for individual comments. I'll now go through each of those 8 categories, as well as some general comments that were received. In summarizing the reviews, under Category 1, Business Development, 6 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding. Some of the comments included that this is Carlos's major strength, growth and expansion are proceeding at an impressive pace, and an increase in diversity of tenants and users is impressive. With regard to the relationship with the authority, 6 out of 6 members ranked Carlos again outstanding. Comments included that they appreciate Carlos's neutral and fair approach in all that he works with. He always keeps the Port Authority members informed in a timely manner, and that he responds quickly and efficiently to requests. The third category was financial management and regulatory compliance. 5 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding, and the remaining ranked him as meets standard. Comments include continual research for grants has been exemplary, and he has a good handle on the financial management in general. Public image and community relations, 6 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding. Comments included that he does a wonderful job in promoting the success of the port, and that ship shape, speaking engagements, and PR releases are all positive for the port. Strategic planning and goals, 5 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding, and the remaining member ranked him meets standards. Comments included that his communication skills are outstanding, and that while he does a very good job, maybe report at the meeting on where we are with some of the objectives. The 6th category is leadership. 5 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding, and 1 ranked him meets standards. The comments included that he is an outstanding leader and models very high standards for the staff. He has shown leadership and poise under pressure. In Category 7, job and industry, all members ranked Carlos outstanding in this category. And the comments included exceptional industry knowledge, his wide experience in the industry is evident, and that he definitely knows what he is doing and how he wants to grow the port. And then Category 8, judgment and decision making. 5 out of 6 members ranked Carlos outstanding, and the remaining member ranked him meets standards. Comments included that Carlos has outstanding judgment and takes appropriate command of all situations. The growth and success to the port are a testament to his judgment. There were also some general comments that included that the port continues to excel under his leadership, that members were pleased that they had Carlos overseeing the port, that he is an asset to the region, and that it has been a great and exciting year working with Carlos and the entire port team. In conclusion, the rankings represent an overall improvement from last year's evaluation. There were no rankings of needs improvement, and Carlos was ranked outstanding by the majority of members in all 8 categories, and with 4 categories it being unanimous. And that's the end of this report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Whitmore.
No. First of all, thank you. Yeah, Carlos has done a very good job, and we all have Michael Gallen to thank for Carlos being here, because during the hiring process, I think Carlos was in Argentina or another country and didn't realize that there was a cutoff for this job, and somehow got hold of Michael Gallant. So we allowed an interview with him, and he ended up being our port director, which was a wonderful decision made by the port. I mean, it's public record. Are we allowed to say who didn't do the eval? I did it, right?
Yeah.
Did I do it?
Yeah, with all due respect, I would hope for that we don't put that out like that.
Why? It's public record.
Let the public research it.
No, I'm
so
just
we don't
curious,
create
did
a problem.
I turn mine in? I thought I did.
You did turn in a
Right.
report.
All right, well.
Thank you.
No, I thought, I just think that we,
Everybody into it, I don't want that.
right, I just want to make sure that, because
So I turned mine in. However,
okay.
I did not save the PDF, and I ended up sending Jorge a blank one at the last minute.
Okay.
And so.
So it was a
I'll be-
mistake.
Yeah, but I'm going to meet with Carlos individually.
Oh, okay.
But it was
All right.
simply a lack of technological
Oh, no, I get it.
know-how
Okay.
on my part that I did that.
So, in other words, you will be getting the 7 evaluations then?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
thank
and
you.
the 6
Okay.
that have been provided to Carlos today.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to do it on the computer either. I tried, and it went blank. So I actually printed it and had somebody scan it. Is that what you
Yeah,
tried?
I spent an hour filling that damn thing out.
And it didn't
then-
work?
And then I didn't save it.
Where's that?
And I was very angry when I realized that. But
Said,
it was
"Heck with it."
I didn't realize it until Monday
That's what
after
I'm trying to-
Friday, so.
Okay.
That's
I did the
exactly
same
what I was
thing,
trying to
Kevin.
avoid.
So I ended up printing it.
It was all positive, Carlos. I was right in line with the other 6, so, and we'll talk later. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
This whole board needs remedial IT training.
All right, are there any more comments on the executive director's evaluation?
Does this affect your, I mean, you get an automatic, what we did in the budget, correct? I mean, this,
So-
I
yes.
remember one year, I think we gave an additional, but this, what's going on?
No, so pursuant to his contract, he is eligible for an increase based on the performance review, but eligible for an increase when the other port employees are eligible for that same increase. So it tracks with what's been budgeted for
Oh, I
all
got you.
employees.
Okay, I couldn't remember, thanks.
Yep.
Commissioner Satchel?
What were the levels again, outstanding and then,
Meet standards?
Outstanding, meets standards, and needs improvement.
okay, so there's only 3 choices?
Yes.
Okay. No other questions?
All right, do we have to we don't have to make a motion or anything like that?
No,
All right. any
it's just
more-
a report.
Any more comments?
I'll say one other thing. I think that the management and the growth and the prosperity that we're seeing here at the port is nothing short of outstanding.
Yes.
And so we appreciate you.
So before we close that out, obviously, Carlos is a leader. I commend him and all the work and things he do, and also thank his team
Well,
and the people that are behind the scenes getting things done and allowing him to be the leader and to give that direction for us to be the economic driver that we are out here. Are there any more comments on that before we close that area, Commissioners? Okay, we'll turn it back over to you, sir. Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I appreciate the confidence, but again, I want to reiterate, as I always tell you, it's really, the wonderful, fantastic team we have created at the port. Every single individual is responsible for that rating that you were so generous in giving me. Everybody. The team is outstanding, and I can only be as obviously as good as they are. But we have a stellar team of executives at the top, including some new hires we've done recently with Mr. Charles Tillotson over here, very experienced in international trade and sales and marketing as our new Chief Commercial Officer. And so it's really about that. It's really this fantastic machine, team effort developed in all areas that really allows us and me to achieve these objectives. Well, thank you again.
So
With your
we'll
permission,
go to
I'll go
public
to-
comment if we have any on any of the topics that we discussed. Do we have any public comment? Then we'll go to executive director comments.
Thank you. It's very brief. There you go. Here we go. Okay. As you could tell, and you know this already, we have broken our last record for containers dramatically, a huge increase in container handling. Container handling is not easy. It was never our forte. We were a lot of break bulk and a few containers, you could tell. Since 2000, and 13, our figures have grown exponentially almost, and the tons have grown. But container handling, going from almost 0 to 135,000 containers, is a real achievement at this port, and really puts this in the forefront of what FDOT is looking for. And what our Secretary of Transportation is looking for: ports that can handle consumer goods, that can be served, that can be utilized near the port, can be sold near the port, instead of having to come from California, where they'll have to wait a little longer. So in that regard, this port and the expansion in container capability in our new yard will play a critical role in this. So we had one of our chair, training in case he needs it in the future. We had a job fair. We had a job fair, speaking to what Mark Evans was saying, a job fair to try to identify, not just for us, but for our businesses. And one of the critical factors is those simulators. And Commissioner Bellamy was training on the simulators. He needs some remedial training there, as I understand. But we are on that. We are working on that, because I didn't try because I didn't want to fail that quickly. But it really reflected how difficult it is to pull a container with a crane on a ship and down. And so, the standard would be at least one every, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, I think it was taking us 1 hour to pull one off. So obviously, we're not going to look for Commissioner Bellamy, Chair Bellamy, to be doing that, but we have some ideas. Any comments on the job fair?
Well, I was going
Chairman?
I was going to wait until Commissioner
until the
comments,
end?
but
Okay.
since we're there, I don't have a problem commenting. First of all, thank you. I mean, it took some work for us to get the job fair up and moving, and at one time when we met out here, we were concerned about participation and on whether or not we would need to reschedule a date or have the ability to actually pull it off. But again, about that team and that effort and that commitment to getting things done. So I extend my appreciation to everybody, but a special thanks obviously to Mr. Tillerson. However, the simulated experience, all right, it's a challenge, and my experience there, what I was thinking is I would love for some individuals in our community, like some youth, to be able to experience that. It was not the way it looks, as though it's like a video game and it's very easily where you can maneuver the controls. I found myself, bumping into walls. I probably that experience probably cost about $4 or $5 million of damage right there. to be honest with you, but the actual job fair and for the simulators to come out actually gave us an opportunity to communicate with MTC, and I forgot that vendor as far as how we can bring this closer so we can go from training to jobs and making this an opportunity for individuals in our community. The job fair, in my opinion, I feel like it was a success. It was our first one, and I think we all agree that we're going to continue the job fair. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, what happened after the job fair, right? Where the media put the information out, and you saw it on the news, and next thing you know, you're getting resumes coming in, and you're getting phone calls coming in, and you actually think about what our friend from Air Products just said as far as expanding the workforce for over 300 jobs and the time that it took to get there. So the job fair is probably the seed that we are attempting to plant in our community, because we do know, based on your own experience, that it's going to take time. So I would like for us to stay committed to the job fair and continue to show that commitment to our community as far as introducing those trades to them, educating them, and then giving them an opportunity to have a career path here at home. Everybody's will not have the ability to have that academic horsepower to go to college and things like that, but some people are hands-on and they catch on very quick, and they can make an impact and become positive contributors to society as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to also thank Air Products and Del Monte for being at the fair too. So we had great participation by our partners as well. So I think it's you're right, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great idea. We're going to continue to hold these. The companies you heard from Mr. Evans, they need more people, and they can train. So it's great event, and I think we're going to repeat it, if not, semi-annual, at least annually. So we'll continue with that.
Any comments on that?
No? Okay. So as a result of that, we have now put all together all of the jobs of all of the companies that we have here onto the website. Now one single location for searching for jobs. And so it's a great, again, one-stop shopping for everybody. And so they can see what's going on. They can see, everybody's downloading those job positions into our system, and in addition to theirs, and now we have a double opportunity for anyone who's looking for a position to be able to find it and to apply quickly.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, sure.
Air Products is included on that?
Yes.
Even though it's, okay, good.
Yes. Okay. One of the big events we attend every year is Break Bulk. Break Bulk is essentially the Super Bowl of the break bulk business. A lot of stuff moves non-containerized still around the world. So as you can see there, Malcolm is trying to sell, I think, part of Southport right there to this gentleman here on the left. And so Charles was there, Malcolm was there, attended that trade show, which again, it's really an opportunity to showcase the port. And we have probably attended for the last uninterrupted 15 or more years. Of course, we took a boat tour. I wasn't on the boat, but Commissioner Satcher was. Mm-hmm. And maybe you want to make a few comments about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for setting it up and doing the logistical side of it. Special thanks to Blair and his team commanding the boat from the North River Fire District, and Chief Mike Rampone, I believe might be the right way to pronounce it. But, this is the boat that you're seeing there gives us a capability that we didn't have a couple of years ago. So it was $1 million grant program, a cooperation between the North River Fire District and Port Manatee. Provides a bit of security, and then also obviously responds to fire. On the right side of the boat there, if you see the red coil, that's a huge, it's powered by a 4-cylinder Chevrolet engine, water cannon, and so they really get the job done and can respond to fires on the water. And then we also were able to get a tour, and I was able to see from the water side where we're talking about expanding, and I just want that is going to be absolutely a worthwhile project that we need to get on, and then we had the they've got the equipment there. If you look on top, that's a thermal scanner, and then they have a monitor in the captain's house there behind the glass. So. Someone gets swept out to sea, somebody on a kayak doesn't report back when they were expected, they can use that and see the difference in temperature to find, a swimmer or a boater in a rough situation and save lives. So Blair lives there in downtown Parrish, and he captained the boat on the way out. Carlos was very very polite and didn't insist on going, but I think next time we should insist. And
Didn't want to sink the boat.
Didn't want to, right? Yeah, they said they had limited space. That's the only thing I'm not sure they were completely for. Anyway, but anyway, just a great time, and I do encourage the other Port Authority members, if you get the opportunity and they have the availability to schedule a quick tour. So thank you.
Thank you. Again, as Commissioner Satcher said, we welcome the opportunity to do the same thing when you have time. And also, as a corollary to this, we're going to be reaching out to your new aides to give them a Port 101, just a briefing, so they have some familiarity with the port. Bring them out here, show them the port, do a tutorial, so at least for, they have that kind of knowledge, basic knowledge of what's happening here when you have something that they need to do about the port. So we'll be reaching out to the 4 new aides. 4, or you have 5 now? 4, I think it's.
I have
All
one,
right.
that's all I can say. I can just speak for myself.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be doing that in the near future. Finally, again, talking about containers. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get to the last slide.
Houston?
You turned off
the slideshow. Well. Okay, well, the last one referred to the expansion and completion of our container yard, which would allow us to grow the container throughput even higher. And so likely next year we'll be exceeding 160,000, 170,000 containers, which will be another record. One of our stevedores has purchased 2 new gantry cranes. We'll bring it up a total of 4 cranes. And that will give us the capability, literally, to double the space and double the equipment to handle the containers. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments? Commissioner Cruz, sir.
I was going to bring up one quick thing for discussion. It doesn't have to be decided today, but we were talking about this before the meeting when we realized half of our board wasn't going to be here, or at least 2 of them weren't going to be here, and we were questioning whether a third one's coming. It's just a question for discussion because we just passed the new calendar for next year, and we all love coming to the port. We love these presentations. They're great presentations, but I mean, this is only an hour and 20 minutes. And so the question was, a lot of what we do is consent. Are we better off due to the endless conflicts, the discussions about work sessions, so forth, maybe doing an at-port meeting for the real 3-hour block we block off, but do it like on a quarterly basis, like the first month of a quarter, last month of a quarter, have all the presentations, have a big meeting here once a quarter, 4 times a year, and then have the ones we were having, just the consent agenda in the other months. Just to make life more manageable for everyone, including Carlos and everyone coming out here, having a bigger once a quarter.
Right, and I'm sure we'll have a discussion, but I think that's where bylaws and legal come in as far as
You
what
can change bylaws.
what we're obligated to do. I'm not necessarily sure, so we will ask our lawyer
We're
to
not.
come up. And it's,
You have certain flexibility. You'll be able to, you've advertised your meetings already, and you do have that obligation to go ahead and advertise it. But just so I'm clear, were you saying that the smaller, like consent agenda meetings would still be here, and then the presentations would be done quarterly, or were you?
What I was saying, what we were discussing, just because it seems like every month we end up with conflicts. We keep talking about having work sessions on a near daily basis as a county. Whether or not, because we were doing them just as part of regular meetings, and they were 15 to 30 minutes. We were banging out a consent agenda. Carlos was catching us up. So we still have that on a monthly basis to make sure all the consent agenda is taken care of and things are approved in a timely manner. But once a quarter, we still come into these chambers, and then instead of having 1 or 2 presentations, maybe there's 4 or 5 or 6 presentations just on a quarterly basis, and it's a full 9 to 12. Everyone's coming up here. We're banging out some tenants, we've got the Coast Guard, you name it.
Yeah.
And those are the bigger ones, and that's when we do the evaluations and the bigger tickets, and then we still have the meetings once a month. It's just they're incorporated into our regular meeting.
Right. So all of your, from a legal standing, your meetings are advertised not only for out here, for at the county as well. So whenever we need that flexibility, we are able to go to the county. So if that's what the board decided, you could have those meetings.
Commissioner Whitmore?
I respectfully do not agree. It's taken years to separate the Board of County Commissioners and the Port Authority. Port Authority is not the county government. We all know when we take this job that includes coming out here. And only recently have a few people missed it, and it's because they have other things, and that's okay, and they miss the county meetings as well. But it's a whole different mindset when you come here, business versus government. And I would rather keep it that way. I know John Chappie tried to do that years ago, and we all said, no, we need to have that separation. And we learn, this helps us when we go out in the community also, for an entirely different purpose versus county government. So I would respectfully, I live the furthest away than anybody, maybe Vanessa. I live on Anna Maria Island, and it took me almost 40 minutes to get here, but, That's our job, and I think it needs to be separated. So I don't support it. The only reason why we did it the other way is because of COVID, and we understand that, and yeah, it was great, but it didn't feel like we were at the port.
Any more comment? Any more comment? No. Okay, if there's no more comment on that, my position is just understanding, there's always wisdom in the multitude of counsel, right? That's what the verse says. And just listening, obviously, in the past, there's been some experience where there's difficulty, people interpreting if we're having the meetings at the county instead of just making sure it's clear that the business is separate as far as the government business and the ports business. So we heard the discussion, some people responded to it, some people didn't. So if we do feel like there's further discussion to take place and it comes up again, we'll address it. Right now it's out there, and then we'll hear it, and if we need to revisit it, we'll revisit it from there. Is that fair, Commissioner Cruz?
Oh, yeah, I think this is a decision we should,
Yeah, bring
if
back
maybe
to the
we
meeting.
end up with a time where there's all 7 of us that come out here, we should have that discussion
Right, and
about
that's why I
whether or not all
said,
7 of us come out.
it's it's a time. Okay, we're going to Commissioner comments. That was your Commissioner comment. Commissioner Satchel, do you have any?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention, I almost mentioned it earlier when the Border Patrol was here. And I may say it again in a county commission meeting just because I'm not sure if we have the exact same audience. But to anybody out there, the Attorney General for Florida, Attorney General Ashley Moody, and with the cooperation of the governor, just launched a Be a Florida Hero program. And basically just looking at some of the persecution is a word that comes to mind. I'm sure there's a better word that law enforcement has experienced across the nation. This program is designed to encourage those officers to look at Florida as a place to relocate. And so we have some amazing officers. Just right after 9/11 this year, I saw where we have sheriff's deputies that were in New York City during 9/11 that now work for Manatee County. And so people do relocate here, and this program's designed, and I believe there's a monetary component to it, but I was looking to try to find exactly how much it was. So you need to Google Be a Florida Hero, Ashley Moody. And so if you've got a brother or an uncle in some other state, and he's feeling like they're about to pull the plug on their police department or their law enforcement agency, you could use this as an extra incentive to encourage them to move to Florida, and because we appreciate what our law enforcement officers do, and we back the blue. Thank you.
You got it, sir? Yes, sir. All right. Commissioner Whitmore? Commissioner Van Oswald?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we will always be thankful for everything that's done up under the leadership. The port continues to grow, us being an economic driver. Thank you for the presenters and giving us that information today, and for the team, everyone out there and everything they do. This concludes the Port Authority meeting today. Thank you.